Hi, how's it going? I'm Matt and welcome back to SuperCard. Today what I'm going to do, I think, is start on building out the rear end of the Skyline. So it's looking pretty bare at the moment, not really much going on. What I think I'd really like to do is start building up some of the structure. I'm thinking maybe one sort of single piece, flat piece that goes over the end here and goes onto these big tabs that I built in. Then onto that I can build out some structure, and then on top of that, kind of like a final outer body piece that includes cutouts for the iconic circular rear taillights for the Skyline. That's the plan anyway. Let's get into Illustrator and start drawing up some parts, and yeah, we'll see how we go. Alright, so there's the first attempt at drawing up that part. I made heaps of guesses about where I think, like trying to think ahead to where I might want to put kind of the structural parts into this piece. And I've tried to make an allowance for, like slots and tabs that I'll build into those structural pieces as best I can. But yeah, heaps of guesses, and I'm sure I'll change and tweak and iterate this part like every other part on this build as I go. But for now, I think I'll do a paper cut out of this one first, hold it up against the car and see if I've got the size of it right, and yeah, we'll go from there. Hopefully it's all good and I can do a vision cut out of foam board. So let's try it. I totally forgot to include a slot for that one on that side and that one on that side. Yeah, and that center one isn't needed. So yeah, a little bit of a fail, but I'll make those adjustments and print another one out. I'll probably just cut the next version out of foam board. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, here's the new version. This is version 2. I made some changes and adjustments and tweaks to this one and cut it out of foam board, obviously. So yeah, let's fit it to the back of the car. See if it all lines up. Alright, so it took a bit of persuasion to get it fitting on in the right spot. But yeah, we got there and I think it looks really good. Size looks good, shape looks good, the fit is great. So yeah, I'm happy with that for now. Alright, so the next thing to do is to start building out each of the structural parts that will form the very, very back surface of the car. And I've made a bit of a guess with all these kind of slots that I built into this part as to how the structure will work. But yeah, until I start designing and fitting the parts, I don't know if it's actually going to look any good or not. But I'll work with this for now, start drawing up some of these parts and start fitting them, and yeah, we'll see how we go. when we draw up a few parts, print them out, cut them out by hand, and then fit them to the back end of the car. So I think that's looking pretty good for a first attempt, first cut of those parts. I think it'll form a good basis for the underlying structure for the back end of the car. I can see a few little tweaks that I want to make, and a few tweaks and adjustments, but I think for now I'll leave it like that. And the next thing I'll do is make the outer kind of body panel part that will fit over the top of all of this. So yeah, I'll have a crack at drawing that up, cutting it out, and fitting it on, and we'll see where we go from there. So as a place to start, I think that's looking okay so far. It's not quite wide enough. If you kind of see it straight on, it's kind of, yeah, it's just a little bit too narrow. But the main thing I'm probably worried about right now is just how really to attach this properly. Like, it needs to be able to be glued in place in exactly the right spot and not be able to move, like not be on an angle or kind of move around in the wrong position kind of thing, right? Like it needs to be fixed in the right place and located really, really easily. I mean, I put these foam pieces here mainly to kind of provide to kind of put it in the right position and give it the curvature that it needs. And also to kind of create a bit of a surface that I can put some glue, that I can put glue on here and on here to be able to attach that on. But that's not really enough. Like the edges are really the key thing, eh? They need to be attached somehow. I have to give this one some more thought. So it's a new day, and I've given it some more thought, and I think that the solution is probably pretty straightforward. I'll simply build a tab into the side of this piece, which folds around and glues into the side of this foam core board piece. I'll just kind of notch it out for the tab to sit into. And I'll also make a tab in the top of this piece here, which folds over into a notch that I'll make in the top of the foam core board piece on the top. So there'll be a tab on the top, both corners, and a tab on the side, on both sides. And that should secure it enough, I think, anyway. So yeah, I'll jump into my Illustrator file, start making the changes to the plans that I've just mentioned. And yeah, we'll cut a new set of parts and see how that goes. Cool, so I've spent the last couple of nights making a new set of rear end parts. Basically, I've made a bunch of adjustments to each of the individual pieces, and I've also redesigned how a few of the different components fit together too, just to try and make the end result, I think, better. As you can see, I've cut out a full set of new parts, the adjusted parts. All that's left to do really now is just kind of fit them all together and see how it goes. I might need to make some tweaks to a few of them, but let's put them together and see how they turn out. All right, one small issue. You can see the tab on this piece here. I've just drawn the edges of it completely wrong. Like you can see the angle of the tab on the sides, the top and the bottom. It's just completely wrong. It should come out kind of straight. So I'll have to tweak that part and recut it. Okay, here's a new version of this part that I've just recut. So I've like changed the profile of that tab on each side. And also what I realized I needed to do is just very slightly curve the bottom edge of this piece as well, so that when it fits in place and leans up kind of against the surfaces here, that this bottom edge creates the right kind of profile or the right shape. You'll see when I fit it anyway. But what I've realized I might do is I might remove that old previous structural assembly and fit this new one, and then I'll glue that over the top once it's on the car. It'll just make it a bit easier. So I'll do that now. Cool, so there's the new version of that back end structure all together and looking really sharp. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I also added some bumper structure parts. So all these pieces along here, they're just kind of sitting in there for now because they're kind of like just a first cut or a first iteration of those parts. We'll probably tweak those a bit more later on down the line. But for now, at least this kind of upper section is looking really, really good. And I glued most of that together, so that's pretty much good to go and done and in place now. So yeah, awesome, good progress. Okay, that's it for this video. I've made really good progress on the back end of the car this week. I hate to say it, but the next video might be about me sort of redesigning and rebuilding the roof a bit. I can tell that the proportions and the shape and some of the lines of the roof aren't quite right. So yeah, the roof has to be right, has to be correct, or the final car just won't look right. So yeah, check into next week's video to see how I go with that. Thanks for watching. The build's coming along pretty good, so yeah, keep following along, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.